Battlestar Galactica Deadlock was a pleasant and unexpected surprise, a turn-based strategy game that managed to capture the spirit of the Battlestar Galactica series, much better than any other PC game has done so far. Now, developed by Black Lab Games and published by Slytherin, it puts the player in the position of a colonial fleet commander at the very beginning of the Silent Uprising. You need to traverse 12 human colonies, complete missions, and fight silent threats in order to obtain resources such as Tilium and recruitment points. Tilium is used to buy new ships and unlock blueprints for more advanced vessels, while recruitment points can be used to recruit officers that, once become more experienced, can give bonuses to the fleets they are stationed at. These bonuses can be the increased strength of their ships, their subsystems, or overall capacity of the fleet. Silence do not rest for a second. Their fleets will be popping up all over the place and you will need to intercept and destroy them. Fail to do so, and colonies they harass will start losing faith in you, becoming unstable, which will cause a decreased production of Tilium and less resources at your disposal. Essentially, if you do not protect colonies, you will lose them as well as the game you are playing. Your first fleet consists actually from a flying shipyard that excels in two things: producing new ships for your fleet and acting as a formidable target for Silence, without packing any significant punch, well, except for 2 squadrons of Vipers, so you'll always need to babysit it and make sure it survives every mission. Both the campaign and the battles are turn-based. You decide what you want to do on the campaign map, where to send your fleet, or what ships to build, and then hit turn. When you engage Silence, you will deploy your fleet and try to keep your shipyard alive. The turn base occurs in 3D so-called pizza box space, which means that all the ships can move in all directions, forward, left and right and backward, but there is also an elevation movement going up and down, which is somewhat limited. Now, if you ever played Starfleet Command, you will recall the concept. Elevation mostly serves to avoid collision of the ships, which is actually a real thing in this game that needs to be taken into account. If you do not pay attention to your ships, they might easily bump into each other, or you might get rammed by a silent vessel. After having lost 2 ships in otherwise perfect engagement through a collision caused by my lack of attention, I quickly learned to respect and monitor every movement of the elements in my fleet. You can issue move and attack orders to your ships, but in order to win, you must know where your ships need to be in 3, 5, or even 10 turns. Every ship can have an additional special weapon, be it a squadron of Vipers, guided missiles, or straight-shooting torpedoes. The munition is limited, and while you can fire the normal cannons on all your ships and Vipers, you will have a limited amount of missiles and torpedoes that can be depleted. Also, it takes several turns until they recharge and can be used again, so think carefully when and how to employ them. All ships have their strengths and weaknesses, and you need to know them in order to win. They all have armor, fore and aft, left and right, below and above. When being hit, the armor gets depleted, and after the armor is gone, the ships start taking hull damage. When hull reaches 0, the ship explodes. Game over. Now, proper positioning means the difference between life and death. Some ships have weaker armor on the front and aft parts, so it is recommendable to always try and hit them with your cannon's missiles in exactly those spots. If you happen to charge with such a ship into the enemy and lose front armor, you need to pull hard to either starboard or port, thus exposing your armor-heavy sides of the ship so you don't receive hull damage. Ships also have arcs of fire. Some are straight shooters, others fire broadsides. This too needs to be taken in consideration before engaging into the battle. The closer the ship is to you, the better target it will make, but that goes both ways. Finally, it is worth noting that the ships also have subsystems that can be damaged or hacked, which then need to be repaired before taken into action again. Silent corvettes are immensely obnoxious with their hacking attacks, which can shut down your vital system, forcing the ship out of the battle. Now, flying around an undamaged ship which is unable to attack because the weapon fire controls have been disabled is extremely frustrating, so you need to make sure not to ignore the hacking attacks. Finally, it is worth noting that you carry over your ships from previous battles with you. This means that winning a mission and suffering serious losses while doing so will result in your diminished strength when it comes to the next engagement, which you probably might not survive. That is the reason why you constantly need to build new, better ships, as well as improve their fittings, get better ammunition and more advanced fighters. The game is not telling you how hard the next mission will be. You will find that out in the moment when you face the Silence, who have employed the next class of cruisers for a particular battle, while you're still flying around in corvettes and frigates. Of course, a well-balanced and versatile fleet is better than a mass of strongest ships of the same type, but never forget that you need to be packing a good punch. So, what are my final thoughts about Battlestar Galactica Deadlock? Simply put, I love it. It puts a very high value on tactical engagements, where positioning has an extremely important role. Split your fleet and you will suffer when sudden reinforcements drop in. Move too far away from your ship while a silent reinforcement will take it out before you can get back into range to defend it. Ignore your ships and they will collide and expire in a great ball of fire. There is a simple yet very attractive depth to this kind of gameplay. It is more than sufficient to bring you throughout the campaign. Atmosphere is unique and hits the series vibe better than anything I have experienced so far. Camera movements, the music, sound effects of firing guns on all kinds of ships, all of that does a great job to submerge you into Battlestar Galactica universe. There is not much to berate the game about, except perhaps the obnoxious character narrations. They are probably the only aspect that could have been shortened or even entirely dropped out from the game and nobody would complain. Finally, if you're a fan of good space strategies with a turn-based system, you should not miss out on BSG Deadlock, especially if you're a fan of the series. It will provide a good, solid game of fun and won't leave you disappointed. If you're interested about seeing how the gameplay actually works, check out the link in the description where we had a playthrough of Battlestar Galactica Deadlock missions. Thank you very much and see you soon. Bye bye.